Ms. Denise Paul.
Thank you, Ministers. I'm very grateful for the hearts and the hard work that both ministries have put in. I speak as a disability service provider, a volunteer, a parent of a special needs adult, and a parliamentarian. My worry is that the spate of unfortunate events concerning the recent two families will not be the last of it. Yes, it takes a village, all of us, government, disability agencies, families, volunteers. We need to take our place and organize better to get better outcomes. I think when each party thinks that the other party should do it, whether it's the government or somebody else, then no one will do it because no one wants to catch the ball alone. It's just too difficult. There are lots of things going on, quite a lot of overlaps, differing standards, noise, and so forth. So I seek two excuses. I seek the minister's assurance, one, at the macro level to share more strategic information, not just when things happen or at parliamentary settings, and also involve the ground better, sizing the issue, validating the planning assumptions of the government ministries, communicating plans ahead for inputs, ensuring the right partners are on board. And giving information such as how many students or adults with special education needs or disabilities are flowing through the system. And what is the plan? What are planning assumptions? Where do students go when they exit? What are the prognosis like? How are the current support models, especially in the mainstream schools where the two recent cases are cited? What can be done further to make it more effective? And what are all the immense challenges in the adult disability space? And it's really not easy to be settled by just one party, whether it's people, public, or private sector. It's all of us. And then how can we better tap on, especially, and train and support ground volunteers, such as those in the grassroots movement? I think there are many of them. They have the hearts, but just not so organized together, by us. SG Care volunteers, even parent groups themselves. How can we involve them and get just better outcomes? So that's my first question, how to share more strategic information throughout and then involve the ground better. The second is, how can we actually have a stronger and more focused work to join the many dots to peel the onions underneath all the wonderful programs, to peel the onion further to get to the root causes and then get better outcomes. Example, to prevent so many overlaps, so many groups, doing the same thing, and to ensure better outcomes in not just caregiver support, but also awareness building and so forth. So just want to seek the minister's assurance and I want to thank the ministries and everybody who's been helping out. Thank you.
We thank the member for a very passionate supplementary question because among all of us, I think we know Ms. Denise we take a lot of instruction from Ms. Denise to the way we organize, also the way we are shaping the disability. Since I came into this parliament together with Ms. Denise, things actually got so much better. By the time I arrived in MSF, it may look like a mess, but actually because more things are being done. And certainly coordination must be made. If it were only the government, I think it's much easier to organize and coordinate, but because many helping hands are involved, and they're really passionate people who are directly involved, either as parents or people who really care. We want them to thrive, we want them to progress, but we also have to be careful about over-organizing them. So in terms of institutional support, we have, for example, special students care centers. We have 8 of them. They are mostly in the SPED schools. The question is, do we need more? How can we increase its effectiveness? In terms of how we outreach to the parents who need them. Fortunately today, since last week, for the longest time that we have been organizing, we now have better touch points from the time, because we now diagnose the children early, we know who the parents are, and therefore we can do these touch points earlier. However, there will always be parents who, because we did not in time or during their time have these institutions early enough, may not be able to identify who they are. But we know their families know them, we know their neighbors know them, and even when I do house visits, I've met some families who have not been part of our system or did not know that these are available help that they can tap on. Therefore, I call upon the community, even if we think that no help is being extended to them or does not look like help is being extended to them, please reach out to us so that we can do this.
Ms. Hertingru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question relates to children who need extra support in schools. First, I have a few questions. First, how does the ministry track how these children are doing in school? Secondly, how does the ministry track how successful these measures of support are? And finally, are there any proactive steps being taken within a framework, some kind of formal screening available to identify students who might have learning difficulties or special needs and benefit from these forms of support, and also their families and their parents and their caregivers? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in response to Ms. Hertingru's questions, I'll just make the following points. The tracking is on a continuous basis. Of course, the tracking is not based on the usual academic standards that we use. Very often, for the special education needs students, if they are following the mainstream curriculum, then we track their progress. But very importantly, in this progress, we are not trying to measure themselves against other people. Actually, as I've always said, for us, it's more important to surpass ourselves than to surpass other people. For many of our special needs children, the goal is really for them to improve over what they have been able to achieve the previous day, the previous year, to give them a sense of confidence, a sense of independence. And that's what, if you like, broadly how we measure our success in a very broad way. And the second point I'd like to make is that we are always in close contact with the parents and the families so that we can work hand in hand between the school and the families to help progress our children, each according to their potential. And where necessary, we will bring in the professional psychologists to help both equip with our teachers with the necessary skill sets and also the parents with the necessary skill sets to cope and to care for the children of special needs. So it's not the kind of usual tracking that we would use for the usual academic yardsticks or performance yardsticks for normal children, but I think for each of the special needs child, we have to customize the program according to their needs. And I would like to make this point that while we generally use the word special needs, the special needs community is not homogeneous. Every special needs child is special in their own ways, and they do need different level of support with different learning needs as well. So that's why, to add on to what Minister Masagos says, because of the spectrum of needs, we also need a spectrum of solutions in order to best cater to the respective needs.
Ms. Angwenen.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to thank both ministers for the very comprehensive replies. I think MSF has, over the years, through the issuance of concession cards, transport concession cards for persons with disabilities. You have the registry and you are helping them. So I'd ask MSF, would you consider to also have a similar registry for the caregivers of the person with disability, and then proactively reaching out to them, either to ministries or to the community, so we can all help them. And I echo what our fellow MP, Ms. Diplomat, said, that many of us want to try to help the caregivers in our respective constituency, but we are also lack resources and the know-how to help them. So we really hope that the ministry can really come up with programs and roll it out fast beside the I3 initiative you have. And we really hope that the ministry can work with the different segments of the society, the population as a whole, so that we all work together to better prevent from this very sad case of double murder. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ang, for the question. The AFA, the Alliance for Action, is exactly why it was launched, basically to get more feedback from caregivers, organizations, parents, on what more we need to do. And we hope that this will be completed within this year, if not earlier. And we will take those inputs on board, including the suggestion by the member to have a registry. Now, whether we want to actually do this from the government top-down view, my view is that we want to ask the caregivers and see whether this will help them and how will help them, at the same time also protect their enough protection for the confidentiality if they want it.
Mr. Speaker, sir, to pull a few of the threads together, maybe I'll just make the following concluding points. First, I'd like to thank all the professionals, teachers, caregivers, and families who have extended help to our special needs children and family. I know it's very difficult that when such an unfortunate incident happened, and we will always ask if we could have all done more together to avoid this tragedy. And we know that many of our professionals, families, caregivers, volunteers who want to do more. But deep in our heart, I think we also know that sometimes such cases are very hard to prevent altogether. But because it's so hard, I think we all are even more determined to want to do better. So the first point is, yes, MOE and MSF, we are regularly reviewing the master plan on how we can provide the continuum of care across the entire life cycle stage for both the special needs children and their caregivers. And I know that for many of the special needs family, the part that is most challenging, the part that's most worrying for all the families with special needs children are what happens when we are no longer around. What is the care arrangement? What is the financial arrangements that we need to put in place to take care of our special needs children? And this is where we will double down our effort to see how we can provide a more seamless continuum from the school years to the post-school years, both in terms of care, work arrangements, and also financial independence. Second, we'd like to also thank all the volunteers for your effort to stand forward and chip in. And to the extent that we can, both MSF and MOE would like to work with our partners, the volunteers, the caregivers, and we are prepared to try out different ideas, new ideas, to cater to the spectrum of needs that we have discussed in this House. Because we really need a variety of solutions, a variety of know-hows, a variety of resources. And many of these things are very difficult to do because they require staying power. They require us to walk through those dark valleys of life with the person in need and their families. And we really, really give thanks for the many volunteers who have walked this journey. So I don't want the volunteers to feel that just because an unfortunate incident have happened that somehow they have not done their part or they have not done enough. I think we also want to affirm the volunteers, the professionals who have taken care of our special needs children and their families as well. Thank you.